Subway's famous giant foot-long sandwiches are made right before your eyes, the way you want them. A variety of fresh and delicious ingredients. If you're really hungry,
The Subway sandwich, a toasted foot-long bread, veggies, your choice of meat, cheese, and all topped off with one of their sauces. Ready in a few minutes and relatively healthy compared to the various other options on the street. With nearly 45,000 restaurants around the world, Subway is now everywhere. But not many people know that it was started by a 17-year-old teenager who didn't have enough money to pay for his college tuition, so started selling sandwiches. We will document the hard beginnings, rapid rise, and also the recent fall of this global brand. Welcome to Mandora. Please like, comment, and subscribe if you're new to our channel so we can keep producing quality content. We start our story in New York. Frederick Adrian DeLuca was born in 1947 in public housing projects in the Bronx, the most humble of backgrounds. Fred's family went on to move from New York to Bridgeport, Connecticut, which turned out to be the birthplace of Subway. At age 17, Fred didn't have enough money to pay for his tuition to be a doctor, and so a family friend, Dr. Peter Buck, who was also a nuclear scientist, loaned him $1,000 and suggested that he start a sandwich shop, as he had seen sandwich shops in his hometown of Maine achieve good success. The sandwich shop Dr. Buck was referring to was an Italian sandwich shop called Amato's, which still serves customers today. Fred's inner entrepreneur jumped onto the idea, and his plan was to make a fast food joint that would be healthier than the alternatives at the time, which mostly consisted of burger and pizza chains. The first restaurant opened in August 1965 and was called Pete's Submarines, a play on Peter Buck's name and the shape of the sandwiches. However, Fred realized that when their ad played on the radio, Pete's Submarines sounded like Pizza Marines, and customers would turn up at the restaurant expecting pizza. So they decided to change the name to Pete's Subway, which eventually in 1968 was shortened to just Subway. The first restaurant was a struggle and a steep learning curve, as Fred had chosen the location with very little visibility. He soon realized that location is key to success in the fast food business, and thus opened a second and third outlet in high traffic areas. Fred said, "We learnt on our feet and quickly realized that marketing and visibility were going to be key factors in the success of our business. So the third outlet was in a highly visible location, and it's still serving sandwiches today." The brand caught on, and Fred made enough money to fulfill his dream of graduating from college by the time 1971 came around. However, he studied psychology and not medicine, probably because he wanted free time to grow Subway while he studied. Fred's vision for Subway now became bigger. He teamed up with Dr. Buck again and named a holding company called Doctors Associates. This company would be responsible for running Subway's franchises. The first franchise opened in 1974 in Connecticut, and the rest would become history. Subway grew fast. In 1978, they had their first location on the West Coast in Fresno, California, and by 1981, they had 200 locations across the US. The flagship sandwich was the BMT sandwich, which originally was named after the Brooklyn Manhattan Transit System, but in marketing campaigns was referred to as the biggest, meatiest, tastiest, because it was loaded with ham, spicy pepperoni, and salami. Subway also only used to sell foot-long sandwiches, but in 1977 introduced a snack sub, which eventually went on to be the 6-inch sandwich offering. In 1982, Subway really hit the accelerator pedal and opened 100 locations in 1 year, and in 1984, a major milestone was achieved when the first international location was opened in Bahrain. In 1987, the 1000th Subway was opened. In 1988, the 2000th Subway was opened. And in 1990, the 5000th Subway was opened, and Subway truly became a household name. Subway's key to fast growth was that they made the barriers to starting a new franchise relatively small. Even today, it might cost between $116,000 and $263,000 to open a new Subway, whereas a new McDonald's could take between $1 and $2.2 million. While the menu items may vary in international markets according to dietary requirements, such as not serving beef or pork in India, the core Subway flagship product is the foot-long sandwich, which you can expect to be fresh and created in front of you in any location you go to. The Subway brand has had many ups and downs since it became a household name. Marketing successes in the past include the brand's focus on nutrition and also value. In the 1990s and 2000s, Subway became popular as Americans started to pay more attention to nutrition and living a healthy lifestyle. Subway was in a much better position to catch on to this trend compared to other fast food franchises who at the time would find it difficult to provide healthier alternatives. For example, Jared Fogle became a key spokesperson for the company after he became famous for losing 245 pounds just by eating Subway. We will come back to Jared later in the video. Furthermore, celebrities such as Michelle Obama and Michael Phelps have also touted Subway's healthy options as a possible remedy for America's child obesity problem. Another great success for Subway was the $5 footlong offering by Subway in 2008, just when America was in the midst of the Great Recession. Economists call goods whose demand rises when income falls an inferior good, and Subway was a perfect practical example of this phenomenon. Subway sold $3.8 billion of $5 footlongs in the 2008 to 2009 fiscal year alone. However, Subway also had to fight through litigation and brand damage. In 1999, at least 32 Subway customers at 2 outlets in Seattle contracted hepatitis A after eating contaminated food, as employees weren't adhering to hygiene processes such as washing hands. 31 of these customers settled a lawsuit for $1.6 million, while the most affected customer, a 6-year-old who suffered from acute liver failure and required a liver transplant, was awarded $10 million. Subway also severed its ties with Jared Fogle after he was imprisoned for 15 years for sex offences with minors. Moving on, Subway also has had litigation regarding sandwich sizes. Customers have claimed that at times their footlong is not a footlong and only 10 or 11 inches. Subway responded by saying that, with regards to the size of the bread and calling it a footlong, the Subway footlong is a registered trademark as a descriptive name for the sub sold in Subway restaurants and not intended to be a measurement of length. Most recently in 2021, Subway has had a $5 million lawsuit filed against them for their tuna sandwiches not having actual tuna. This is a reflection of previous litigation against them that their chicken sandwiches actually consist of soy protein. However, neither of these two allegations have been proven yet. The restaurant also in the past decade has had to slow down its rate of expansion after sales have fallen. In 2019 alone, Subway closed 1,000 locations and sales dropped by $210 million to $10.2 billion. Consumer experts cite that Subway has opened far too many franchises, with some restaurants just down the street from others, resulting in a cannibalization in sales. Furthermore, other fast food competitors also started offering healthier alternatives, making Subway's proposition of healthy fast food not so unique. The company has also suffered during the pandemic, as it has far fewer drive-thru sites than competitors such as McDonald's. The future of the company is unclear. Subway executives are trying their best to bring back customers with revamped stores and new menu items, and it remains to be seen whether the franchise can return to its peak in the late 2000s. Comment down below any ideas you might have that Subway could implement to improve its offering. However, in this video, I would really like to focus on Subway as an entrepreneurial success, rather than spending too much time on its recent downfall. This is a story of a teenager starting from a small sum and growing a multi-billion-dollar empire, and a lesson to all of us that we should always dream big, even if our current reality doesn't reflect our dreams. Fred DeLuca passed away unfortunately in 2015 at a relatively young 67 years old, and is a great role model for any young entrepreneur.
The founder himself sitting here. Well, so you founded Subway. You made the first sandwich.
That's it. 47 years ago, I made the first sandwich, and now we've got 37,000 stores around the world.
That's it for today's episode on Mandora. Please like and subscribe if you liked today's episode, and comment on which businesses or stories you would like covered in a future video.